This is a threat. The city is threatening us. They want us to be obedient. They threaten us with police violence and surveillance, hoping it'll keep us in line. Who builds these surveillance systems? They're built by defense contractors, companies that have been doing business in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Israel, helping militaries bomb and control and torture people. We cannot let these kinds of initiatives stand. We will not let them stand. We must organize, mobilize, and take direct action to let the world know that there will be consequences for politicians and corporations that attack our rights and livelihoods. I urge this body to stop this attack on my freedom before it's too late for all of us.
Okay, that sounds like all the speakers that were called. So thank you all for coming and staying so late. And so now that we've heard from the public speakers, we can have the staff provide some information about this particular proposal, which is the phase 2. Well, it's really about a new contract to do the phase 2 on the Domain Awareness Center. So council members, would you like to speak first or have Ms. Domingo present? Ms. Domingo, why don't you give just a brief statement about what this phase 2 will do and also what the Domain Awareness Center, what are its primary uses that you as the emergency response coordinator are in charge of?
Good evening, or I should say good morning, President of the Council and Council members. My name is Renee Domingo, and I am with the Oakland Fire Department, Office of Emergency Services and Homeland Security. I am the Emergency Services Manager. First of all, we've completed phase 1 of the Domain Awareness Center, which is located at the City of Oakland Office of Emergency Services in our Emergency Operations Center. Just for the record and for clarification, phase 1 of the project included the foundation, building the foundation for the center, and that included the upgrade of the video wall. It included additional audio-visual capabilities, fiber optics connection between the port and the city, a build-out of the IT infrastructure such as servers to support the system, and we also integrated the City of Oakland traffic cameras, of which there are, I believe, 5 or 6. Hassan will probably clarify that number. I'm not sure if it's 5 or 6. And then the Port of Oakland cameras that are along the port properties, as well as integrating our geographic information system, which is a mapping system, City of Oakland Maps. And we currently have the shot spotter alerts also available at the Emergency Operations Center. Why we're here tonight is to talk about phase 2. Originally, we came to you in July 30th, 2013 to talk about phase 2. And at that time, council approved us to move on to phase 2 with quite a few caveats. That included the privacy policy development, which we will come back and talk with you in more detail about in March. It also included us involving the ACLU, the Electronic Frontier Foundation, which spoke this evening, and we have invited them to come to the table. Recently, they did respond to us this week, and we're setting up a meeting for that process. Additionally, contrary to what you've heard from our speakers tonight, we do have a public process being part of that. So we were going to meet with them, have our meetings with them, develop a draft policy, then go out to the public over a 30 to 60-day comment period of that privacy policy. So that is our goal, and that is our goal based on the City Council's directive. The other part of that is we'd also return in March or April to discuss what other partners, which you authorized us only to integrate any additional existing cameras from Caltrans, CHP, AC Transit, and BART. So we would come back with those recommendations and whether or not it's even feasible to do that. We don't even know that yet. Anyway, let me finish. Additionally, part of phase 2 now is to integrate systems. Now that we have the foundation, what we're doing is integrating the port systems into the city's systems. So what I mean by that specifically, what would be part of the scope of work for phase 2 would include the port vessel tracking system, which they have, geographic information.
Mr. Mingo, may I interrupt you for just
Sure.
a moment? I beg your pardon. Would the gentleman please sit down and do your surveillance in a less... No, you can film, but you can film from your seats. Kindly sit down. It's a very funny joke, and you can film it. Please sit down. Would you may film everything you want. No. Yeah.
Madam Chair.
No, I am not. I'm just pointing out that you can film all you want while you're sitting down so that you're not in the way. Okay, children, carry on. And yes, you just go right. Yes, I did. Ms. Domingo, go ahead and talk. Ms. Domingo, please go ahead.
Okay, so part of phase 2 will include the port vessel tracking system, the port's geographic information mapping system, weather alerts, which are NOAA, USGS seismic alerts, Pacific tsunami warning systems. And let me add to that these systems are not normally systems that are found in fusion centers, because we are not a fusion center. We are an emergency operations center. Additionally to that, we would be adding the Oakland Airport Marine Terminal Operator cameras, Jack London Square, which is part of the port, and the OPD helicopter, computer-aided dispatch, police and fire, and the Records Management Information System, Web EOC, which is a management software system for managing emergencies, and the truck management system that is at the port. So that would be the phase 2 system integrations. The other part of that phase 2 would include development time for development of our how we would operate the Domain Awareness Center, which includes the development of action plans for police and fire response, as well as port-related activities. So that is what the phase 2 of the DAC project is.
So, Ms. Domingo,
Back to the report.
Oh, go ahead.
So that's phase 2. So what we're asking the City Council tonight is to adopt a resolution that was amended by the Public Safety Committee last Tuesday to allow staff to return to the pool of vendor respondents from October 2012, which the qualified respondents, there was a total of 5, to issue a revised RFP based on this new scope of work, which has changed since October 2012. And then we would provide them, once council approves this, we would provide this pool of respondents. By Monday, we'd issue the RFP, Monday of next week, because we have somewhat of a tight timeline. We'd give them phase 1 implementation information. We'd give them the scope of work. And then we would also provide supplemental proposal instructions and guidelines regarding due diligence safeguards in regards to a company's background, references, and additional questions would be added to our current contracting questionnaire that requires full disclosure of any and all pending actions against vendors for misconduct and or other unlawful acts, omissions, or violations over the last 10 years, so that the staff, administration, and council have all the facts related to the proposed vendor. It would be our hope to come back to you in January of 2014 to request approval of the recommended vendor. The other piece of this is that last Tuesday at the Public Safety Committee, the original resolution was amended to include language from the July 30th resolution that covered the privacy law requirements by staff, and it also removed a couple of the two further resolves that had already been included in the July 13th reports. So that is the informational report before you related to the resolution and the request from staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Domingo. Now on to comments and questions from the council members. Councilmember Kaplan, are you in the queue? Did you mean to be?
Thank you very much. When will responses to the new RFP be due?
Oh, the timeline. Hassan, he's been working on that.
Good morning, Hassan Beg, Department of Information Technology. I think our plan is to publish an RFP on the 25th, and we are giving 2 weeks for them to respond back.
And if we wanted, and my understanding is the recommendation is currently before us, you would release that to the pre-existing bidders. Would there be any impediment to your process if you kept the tight timeline, but allowed other bidders to bid who had not bid previously?
I think looking at the grant performance timeline and the complexity of the system and the capabilities where they have been demonstrated with the first RFP when we published and the companies who submitted the proposals, it is in the city's best interest that we need to go back to the same group of 5 companies and do the due diligence and select one of the companies out of those 5. But it is going to impact our schedule if you go back and publish this whole RFP right, from the beginning.
But this is not the same as the first one.
No,
because a bunch of the work has already been done.
That is correct.
So what remains to be done is primarily software, not hardware?
Yes.
So it's possible that if other companies were allowed to bid, that there would be others who could do this phase, now that it's down to a smaller remaining piece.
I think
or at least if you kept a tight timeline, I guess you'd find out if others could do it, right? I mean, if we allowed that.
I don't know if you have any.
Well, okay, I don't need to make staff answer to that level because obviously there's a tight timeline, but I think this question of why we would need to restrict it to the previous bidders as long as someone can meet the timeline, I think is a worthwhile question. And, did you want to answer that? Okay.
Deborah Barnes, Contracts and Compliance. The competitive process that was conducted for the first phase was a very thorough and detailed process that solicited responses from what appeared to be a good pool of competitors. And this